There's a county in western Kentucky where someone is paying $24 a year in property taxes. Not per month, not per quarter. $24 for the entire year on a 5-bedroom brick house with 2 fireplaces. I read that number and sat with it for a long time, because in most of this country, $24 doesn't cover the fee to park your car downtown for the day. Kentucky doesn't tax your Social Security. First, $31,000 of your pension or retirement income, also untaxed. And then there's the land. Rolling green hills that go on until you run out of things to call them. Log cabins sitting on 10 wooded acres with stone fireplaces. A former church with gothic windows and hardwood floors for under $100,000. And at the very bottom of this list, a house from 1900 for less than $30,000. I found 10, from $260,000 all the way down to $29,900. I'm Joseph. I'm retired, and every week I pick a different state and dig through listings until I find the ones that make no sense. Kentucky had so many of them, I had to stop myself from adding more. Subscribe to my channel Tiny Bucks Houses so you see them before everyone else does. 2 houses on this list made me stop everything, number 6 and number 10. The kind of listings that show up once and never come back, and somehow they're both under $100,000. The address on this one is Tom Cat Trail, and when you see the drone footage, you understand why nobody bothered giving the road a proper name, because there's nobody out here to argue about it. 10.5 acres of woods, and somewhere in the middle of all those trees, a log cabin with a red metal roof that you'd never find unless someone told you exactly where to look. This isn't a house pretending to be a cabin. This is round logs, real ones, stacked and fitted by hand in 1982 by someone who wanted to build something that belonged in these woods. Step inside and it hits you everywhere at once. Log walls in every room, hardwood floors that glow when the light catches them, massive wood beams running across the ceiling, and in the great room, a stone fireplace with a wood-burning insert that turns this place into the kind of room you don't leave until the fire goes out. The kitchen sits right off the great room. Handcrafted cabinets, natural wood on the bottom, white on top, stainless steel appliances, and a breakfast bar looking out into the main living space. There's a den off the dining area that could be an office, a reading room, or a first-floor bedroom if you need one. Real barn doors, thick, heavy, the kind you slide shut and feel the weight of. A utility room on the main floor with a half bath. Upstairs, 2 bedrooms, and here's where the original owner made a decision that tells you everything about who built this house. The plan was 4 bedrooms. They turned it into 2 because they wanted the space, not the count. Each one is generous. Window seats, large closets, wood beams overhead, and soft blue-gray walls with windows looking out into nothing but canopy. Full bathroom between them. Now, walk outside. A covered front porch that stretches the full length of the cabin. A covered back porch where you sit in a chair and stare into the trees until you forget what day it is. A detached 2-car garage with a workshop inside. Log built, matching the house. And a separate little log outbuilding with an American flag on the front that looks like it could be a guest cabin, a studio, or just a place to disappear for a few hours. Now let me tell you where this is. About 7,000 people in the county seat of Laurel County in southeastern Kentucky. This town sits right on the Wilderness Road, the same trail Daniel Boone cut through the Cumberland Gap over 200 years ago. The Daniel Boone National Forest wraps around the area. Over 700,000 acres of ridgeline, sandstone arches, and trails that go deeper into the woods than most people are willing to walk. Laurel River Lake is a short drive away. 5,600 acres of clear water tucked between the hills. And here's a fact that catches most people off guard. Colonel Harland Sanders developed his original fried chicken recipe right here in London. The Sanders Cafe is still standing. I-75 runs through town, so Lexington is an hour north, and Corbin is 30 minutes south when you need anything. But the people who live on Tomcat Trail aren't thinking about I-75. A log cabin on 10 acres with a stone fireplace, barn doors, handcrafted cabinetry, a workshop, and enough forest around it that the nearest sound is whatever the birds are doing, $260,000. And this is exactly where the pricing starts getting weird, because somehow this next property offers the same acreage, better views in every direction, and a much lower asking price. Navy blue house on a hill, red front door, and when you step out onto the back deck, rolling green ridgelines stacking up against the sky until they fade into a color that isn't quite blue and isn't quite gray. The sunset photos on this listing look like someone painted them. They didn't. That's just what the view looks like from this back porch every single evening. This is a 1965 ranch sitting on 9.5 acres in Perry County, about 15 minutes outside the Hazard City limits. From the road, it looks clean and modern. Dark blue siding, white trim, a covered front porch with steps up to that red door. There's a matching navy blue garage and workshop building off to the side. From the air, you can see the whole picture. The house perched on a green hilltop, with the mountains rolling out behind it in every direction. Inside, it's been updated through and through. The living room has shiplap walls, hardwood floors, a bright green accent door, and the kind of natural light that makes the room feel open even at 1,200 square feet. Light pine panels in several rooms give the house a warm cabin feel without making it dark. The kitchen is all white cabinets, clean lines, and windows looking out onto the land. 3 bedrooms, the primary is on the main floor, and both bathrooms have been redone in modern gray tile with new fixtures. There's a separate laundry room with a full-size washer and dryer. An enclosed sunroom wraps the side of the house, glass windows on 3 sides, and somewhere to sit that's not quite inside and not quite outside. The property is the story here. 9.5 acres of Kentucky hillside with views that people in other states pay resort prices to see for a weekend. And you'd wake up to them every morning. Now let me tell you about this town. About 5,000 people in the heart of eastern Kentucky. They call it the Queen City of the Mountains. And from this back deck, you understand why. The town was named after Commodore Oliver Hazard Perry, the War of 1812 naval commander famous for the line, "Don't give up the ship." Hazard was a coal town. The railroad arrived in 1912 and turned this little settlement on the North Fork of the Kentucky River into the mining center of southeastern Kentucky. Every September they still celebrate that history with the Black Gold Festival. Buckhorn Lake State Resort Park is nearby with hiking, fishing, and camping. The town has a hospital, grocery stores, and everything you need for daily life, all 15 minutes down the hill. Most people spend thousands just to rent views like this for a weekend. This one comes with 9.5 acres, an already updated house, and property taxes of just $486 a year, all for $189,000. I genuinely thought we had already found the strongest deal so far, until the next property made me question the pricing on everything we've seen up to this point. From the air, this property looks like it was placed in the center of a postcard, and the photographer just kept pulling the camera back. Green fields stretching flat to the horizon in every direction, a pond sitting across the road catching the sky, and a brick house with a green metal roof right in the middle of all of it. 2 acres, but when there's nothing around you but open farmland, 2 acres feels like 20. This house was built in 1935. Brick across the front, vinyl on the sides, and a metal roof overhead. There's a covered front porch where you sit and look out at the kind of flat, quiet countryside that makes your shoulders drop the second you pull in. Inside, the floors have been redone in fresh laminate through the main rooms. The living room has a full brick fireplace with a mantel, not decorative, not an insert, a real brick hearth that anchors the whole room. Dark wood trim runs along every door and window. The kitchen has oak cabinets, a dishwasher, a stove, and enough counter space to actually use it. There's a formal dining room off to the side, 2 bedrooms, 2 full bathrooms, one with a double vanity. Upstairs, there's a floored attic with permanent stairs, not a pull-down ladder, real stairs, which means that space is ready to be used however you want. An enclosed porch off the back with wood paneling gives you one more room that's half inside, half outside. Outside, a 2-car carport with a circular driveway and a workshop building with garage doors. That workshop alone is the kind of space most people would buy a separate property just to have. Now let me tell you where this is. A small community of about 800 people in western Kentucky, sitting right where Graves and McCracken counties meet. This is Jackson Purchase Country, the land Andrew Jackson bought from the Chickasaw Nation in 1818, and it's been farmland ever since. Paducah is 12 miles northeast, a river city sitting at the spot where the Tennessee River meets the Ohio, with restaurants, hospitals, and everything you'd need. But the real draw out here is land between the lakes, 170,000 acres of national recreation area sitting between Kentucky Lake and Lake Barkley, less than an hour away. Fishing, camping, hiking, wildlife, and two of the biggest lakes in the state side by side. A 1935 brick house with a fireplace, a workshop, a pond across the road, and farmland in every direction. $155,000. The next house completely changes the pace of this list because the moment you look out the living room window, the price becomes a lot harder to explain. I need to talk about the view before I talk about the house, because the view is the reason this listing exists at this price. You're standing in the living room, looking through floor-to-ceiling glass, and in front of you is nothing but rolling Kentucky hills layered one behind the other until they fade into the sky. Green valleys, scattered farmland, tree lines cutting across the ridges, the kind of view that people build houses just to see. Someone already did, and it's $125,000. This is a chalet-style house. Stone and dark wood siding built into a wooded hillside on just over an acre and a half. The living room is where everything happens. 23 by 19 feet, a stone fireplace with a wood stove rising from floor to ceiling, and those glass doors opening onto the valley like the wall just decided to get out of the way. The stone in this fireplace matches the stone on the outside of the house. Rough, natural, the kind of work that someone did once and never needs to do again. The kitchen is off the living room. Wood cabinets, a breakfast bar, a bay window letting in morning light, and warm red walls that make the room feel like it's always been somebody's favorite spot in the house. There's a breakfast room with hardwood floors and walkout access to the back. Upstairs, the primary bedroom. 24 by 19 feet. Cathedral ceilings. Windows looking out over the same valley you saw downstairs, except now you're higher. 2 more bedrooms on the main floor. A full bathroom and a covered porch where you sit with the trees at eye level and the hills spread out below you. Now let me tell you where this is. A small city of about 900 people in Kenton County. And here's what most people don't realize about this part of Kentucky. You're 20 minutes from downtown Covington. You're 25 minutes from Cincinnati. This is northern Kentucky, close enough to a major city that you could drive there for dinner and be home before the evening news. But from this hillside, sitting on this porch, looking at this view, you would never know any of that existed. The Licking River runs along the east side of the community, and the hills around here are the reason people in northern Kentucky drive down DeCourcy Pike on a Sunday afternoon, just to see what the countryside looks like. 20 minutes from Cincinnati, a stone fireplace, cathedral ceilings, and a view that most people would spend their whole life driving past without knowing it was for sale. $125,000. At this point, I thought we had probably seen the strongest deals already, but the next house drops below $120,000, and the kitchen alone is worth stopping everything you're doing to look at. This is a 1938 2-story sitting on a hill within walking distance of downtown, and the first thing you need to see is the kitchen. Cream cabinets wrapping every wall, butcher block countertops, pendant lights hanging from the ceiling, and arched window over the sink. This kitchen looks like it belongs in a house 3 times this price. You could film a cooking show in here and nobody would question the set. $39 a square foot. The rest of the house follows that same energy. The living room and dining room flow together. Blue-gray walls, white wainscoting running along the bottom, hardwood floors, a chandelier overhead, and leather furniture that fits the room like it was bought for it. There are built-in shelves tucked into the walls. The doors and trim throughout the whole house are solid dark wood, thick, heavy, the kind of woodwork that tells you someone was building this house to last, not to flip. A spiral staircase connects the levels. Upstairs, the rooms are painted in different colors, one green, one lavender, one gold. And each one has enough space and light to feel like its own world. There's a room with oversized sliding glass doors that open wide and let the outside in. 4 bedrooms, 2 full bathrooms, and over 3,000 square feet between the main floors and the partial basement, which has its own exterior entrance and works as an office, a workshop, or whatever you need a separate space for. Outside, a 2-car carport and a wooden deck where you sit above the rooftops of the houses below you and look out at the same Kentucky hills that sold you on the last hazard listing. Except this time, the house is $70,000 cheaper. Now, there's something else about this town I didn't mention earlier. Before the coal boom, before the railroad, Hazard was known for the French Eversole feud, a blood war between 2 families that lasted years and peaked in 1888 with a gun battle right in town that killed 12 men in a single day. That's the kind of history that lives in the walls of the buildings on Main Street. It's also the kind of town where the mayor's nickname is Happy, and that tells you everything about how far Hazard has come from those days. There's a community college, a regional medical center, and a county park with trails, ball fields, and river access all within a few minutes of this front door. A 1938 house with a kitchen that stops you in your tracks, a spiral staircase, dark wood trim through every room, and a deck with mountain views for $39 a square foot. $119,000. At first I thought the next property had to be some kind of mistake because nothing about the price lines up with what you're actually getting. This is number 6, and I told you at the beginning of this video, this is one of the 2 properties I don't think will ever show up on a listing again. It's not a house. It's a former Methodist church. White clapboard, metal roof, Gothic arched windows down both sides. And when you step through the front door, the light coming through those windows hits the hardwood floor in a way that makes you stop talking. You just stand there. A chandelier hanging from the peak of the ceiling. The original pulpit still at the front. Almost 4,000 square feet of open space. And $25 a square foot. The main hall is where your eyes go and where they stay. High cathedral ceiling, hardwood floor polished to a shine, and those Gothic windows. Pointed archtops, white frames, lined up one after another down both walls like the building was designed to do one thing, and that's let the light in. Off the main hall, there's an attached wing with a full kitchen, white cabinets, a stove, a refrigerator, and room for a table. A full bathroom. A second room that could be a bedroom, an office, or anything else you need a door on. There's a workshop building on the property too. Half an acre of flat green land with mature trees and room to park. You could live in this building tomorrow. Kitchen's there, bathrooms there. Set up a bedroom in the wing and the rest of the space is yours. A living room the size of most people's entire house, with a ceiling so high your voice changes when you speak. Now let me tell you where this is. About 400 people in Daviess County, sitting 9 miles northeast of Owensboro along the Ohio River. The town was originally called Powers Station, a railroad stop, but in the 1890s they renamed it Maceo, after Antonio Maceo, a Cuban revolutionary hero who was killed fighting for his country's independence. That name stuck. Owensboro is 10 minutes down the road, the barbecue capital of the world. The International Festival has been running there since 1979, and people come from every state in the country to eat mutton and pork cooked in pits that have been going for almost 50 years. Yellow Creek Park is nearby with trails, fishing, and camping. The Ohio River is right there. Everything you need is a short drive. A former church with Gothic windows, hardwood floors, a chandelier, and a ceiling that makes you look up every time you walk in. Under $100,000. Listings like this don't come around twice, and the people who understand that are already reaching for the link. The next property is the kind of opportunity buyers usually discover too late, the type of listing that doesn't stay available for long. I need to say the tax number first because if I wait until the end, you'll think I'm making it up. The annual property taxes on this house are $24, not $2,400. Not $240, $24 for the entire year. That's less than a pizza dinner for 2. Now, let me show you what $24 a year gets you. A 1927 all-brick two-story with 2 chimneys rising from the roofline on a corner lot in downtown Bardwell. Nearly 4,000 square feet. 5 bedrooms, 2 fireplaces, 1 in the living room, 1 in the bedroom. Hardwood floors, French doors with glass panels, arched doorways between the rooms, and a flowering tree out front that was probably blooming when the house was brand new. The living room is where you feel the age of this house in the best way. A fireplace with a mantel, wainscoting running along the walls, and the kind of ceiling height that modern builders stopped paying for decades ago. The dining room sits off to one side with dark wood furniture and a chandelier. The kitchen has white cabinets and enough room to move around without bumping into anything. Through the arched doorways, you catch a different color in every room: blue-gray, gold, burgundy with white wainscoting, and every one of them has hardwood underneath. Upstairs, more bedrooms, each with its own character, and a staircase with white balustrades connecting the floors. The basement has its own exterior entrance and is partially finished, a separate space for a workshop, storage, or whatever you need it to be. Outside, a carport, a stone water feature on the property, and ivy starting to climb the brick the way it only does on houses that have been standing long enough to earn it. Now let me tell you where this is. About 700 people in the county seat of Carlisle County, far western Kentucky, right in the Jackson Purchase. When this town was founded in 1878, the city limits were drawn as a perfect circle with the Illinois Central Railroad station at the dead center. That tells you everything about how this town started and why it's still here. Carlisle County's western border is the Mississippi River, which means you're living in Kentucky and looking at Missouri across the water. Bardwell has its own trail system, its own campgrounds, and the kind of pace where the biggest decision you make on a Tuesday is which porch to sit on. What makes this house so hard to believe is how much original character is still here. A 1927 brick home with nearly 4,000 square feet, hardwood floors, French doors, 2 fireplaces, and taxes that barely feel real. The next house drops below $80,000, and it comes with 3 acres, a pond across the road, and the kind of quiet that most people don't even believe exists anymore. 3 acres, a pond right across the road, and from the air, green Kentucky countryside rolling out in every direction with nothing between you and the horizon except grass and sky. $80,000. This is a white frame house with a hip roof, a brick foundation, and a covered front porch with rocking chairs already on it. 3 bedrooms, 1 bathroom, just over 1,100 square feet. Inside, oak cabinets wrapping the kitchen walls, a gas stove, ceiling fans in every room. The bedrooms are cozy, patchwork quilts on the beds, curtains on the windows, the kind of rooms where somebody's been sleeping well for a long time. The bathroom has blue walls and a pedestal sink. There's a carport on the side and a full basement underneath for storage or whatever else you need below grade. The house is lived in, really lived in, and that's exactly how you know it works. But the property is what sells this one. 3 acres of flat, usable land on a paved road. The drone photos tell the whole story. You're sitting on a green hilltop with a pond catching the light right across the highway and farmland stretching out behind you until the trees take over. Now let me tell you where this is. About 900 people in the county seat of Webster County, named after Daniel Webster, one of the most famous orators in American history. This town sits on what used to be the old Indian Trail between Nashville and St. Louis. This is deep western Kentucky, quiet, green, and the kind of place where $80,000 buys you more land than most people know what to do with. Some houses sell you with the kitchen or the fireplace. This one sells you the second you see the drone footage. 3 acres, a pond across the road, and nothing on the calendar. $80,000. The next house drops below $50,000, and when you walk through the front door of this one, you're going to wonder who forgot to add the second digit to the price. Mark Twain once passed through this town on a steamboat and called it a pretty town perched upon a handsome hill. That was over 150 years ago. The hill is still there, the town is still there, and this brick house sitting on top of it is $50,000. 2 stories, full brick, built in 1940. White columns on the covered front porch and a deck off the back where you look out over the rooftops below and the Kentucky hills beyond them. You walk through the front door and the first thing you see is a fireplace with a decorative mantel and French doors on both sides of the living room, glass panels, white frames, letting light pour in from two directions at once. The walls are cream and yellow with white wainscoting running along the bottom. The dining room has arched doorways, a chandelier, and the kind of built-in niches in the walls that people used to put there because they actually cared about what a room looked like. The kitchen has cream cabinets, butcher block countertops, and an arched window above the sink. Off to the side, there's an enclosed sunroom with brick walls, wicker chairs, and windows looking out onto the yard. A room that's half porch, half living room, all quiet. 4 bedrooms, could be as many as 6 if you use the bonus rooms. 2 half baths, original radiators still in place, a walkout basement, a garage and workshop out back. $29 a square foot. Now let me tell you where this is. About 2,300 people in Fulton County, sitting right on the Mississippi River, the westernmost town in all of Kentucky. This place was a port before it was a town. In 1845, they were shipping 2,000 bales of cotton and 3,000 barrels of tobacco straight down the river from these bluffs. A yellow fever epidemic once hit so hard it killed 1/3 of the population, including every doctor in town. The people who stayed rebuilt it anyway. The courthouse still sits on the bluff overlooking the water. What makes this property so special is the combination of everything together. A solid brick house from the 1940s with hardwood floors, French doors, a fireplace, a large deck, low property taxes, and a price that still feels almost impossible in today's market. And now we've reached the final house on this list. The one I genuinely couldn't stop thinking about after making this video. Because somehow, for less than $30,000, this property feels like it came from a housing market that doesn't exist anymore. This is number 10, the last house on this list, and I told you at the very beginning, this is one of the 2 properties I'm still thinking about. $29,900, a house built in 1900, 125 years ago, with a metal roof, a brick fireplace, pine-paneled walls, and an enclosed sunroom off the kitchen that's big enough to be a second living room. Under $30,000. From the street, white siding, black porch columns, a covered front porch up a set of steps, and the house sitting on a rise above the road the way houses did back when people still built them to look out over things. Inside, pine paneling runs through almost every room, warm and golden, the kind of wood that darkens with age and never stops looking better. The living room has a brick fireplace set into the wall. The kitchen has dark oak cabinets on every side, and enough counter space that it doesn't feel like a kitchen from 1900. It feels like a kitchen somebody kept using because it worked. There's a room off to the side painted in soft lavender, another with carpet and big windows letting the light in. And then there's the sunroom. White walls, glass on 3 sides, a view onto the yard and the trees, and enough floor space that you could put a table, a couch, and a reading chair in here and still have room to walk around. This room alone would make most people stop scrolling. 2 bedrooms, 1 bathroom, 1,440 square feet above grade, and a full unfinished basement underneath for storage or anything else you do with a space nobody sees. Now let me show you where this is. Small river town in the northeastern corner of the state, sitting right on the Ohio River. This area goes all the way back to the frontier days. Daniel Boone traveled through these hills constantly, and his name is still tied to the county more than 200 years later. Today, it's quiet. Tree-covered hills, old houses, fishing spots along the river, and the kind of town where life still moves slowly enough that $30,000 can actually buy you something real. And in this case, it buys you a house from 1900 with a brick fireplace, pine walls, a sunroom, a full basement, and property taxes lower than most people spend on coffee every month. That was Kentucky, 10 houses, a log cabin hidden in the forest, a converted church with gothic windows and hardwood floors, and at the very end, A house from 1900 for less than $30,000. Some of these listings feel underpriced. A couple of them feel almost impossible. Number 6 and number 10 are the ones I'd be watching closely. The links are in the description below. Every week a different state, a different list, and more houses that make absolutely no sense for the price. Subscribe if you want to see them before everyone else does.